Good one.
Jeez. Just collecting dust.
Yeah. It's really you should never do this. So this looks pretty good.
Okay, good.
And we're a little unlevel, so you are getting a bit of bending.
So even though it's not supported as strong as it should be, it's still...
Yeah, you can see that it's bent, like that's just out of level.
Yeah.
So you're getting a bit of bending here where it's like, okay, so... Because the thing is you got to find where the tangent is. Right, because we might be at the midspan. Or at the... So at midspan it would be level, because we'd be at the tangent. That was a bad place to...
Okay.
Yeah, so these look okay. So, I mean, deflection limit, so you can see right there, it's out of level. So you are getting some bending. It's not much, though. It's within tolerance.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'd say that. I'd be like, oh, so here's a bad one. Right? So you can see that some of these are bending more than others. That could be due to temporary supports, that could be due to sheathing, that could be due to soft spots. But it's just showing you that these are kind of undersized. You are getting a bit of bending. When I was walking upstairs, you know, you'll walk, you feel your feet pounding. Right, which is also a 2x6 thing. So, once again, kind of if I were to write a letter, I'd just be like, this appears to be oversized, it appears to be functioning, but it does, you can see that there is a bit of slope to the joists. The joists are per the current code over stress. So, you know, there's people get annoyed because they're like, us engineers come in, we're like, well, we are still given these minimum code requirements. So that's what we're really dealing with, where it's like, yes, it's functional, it's working. So once again, if you don't want to reinforce your entire floor, right? Because the two ways to fix this are to scab on another 2x6, right? Slip it in, which would be a nightmare with all this plumbing. I wouldn't even suggest it, right? I mean, how are you going to slip this in? I don't know. So if you got a letter, though, it'd kind of be like, you got to do something. Either put in a central support like that, right, to make it so that we've got a solid floor, or replace the joints. Like that's kind of like your two options right now. If you were to have a letter stating like, if you're like, hey, will you validate our floor? I'd be like, absolutely not. You need to do this retrofitting for your floor. That's what I'm trying to get you to, like, well, I'm not, this works. Like, once again, the house seems to be in great condition. So their temporary fixes seem to be holding a permanent solution, I guess is the way I'd put it. Even this, it's like, I mean, that drives me nuts, but it's working. So, you know, for me, it's like, well, what do I need to do? It's like, well, are you getting this thing permitted? You seem to be working just upstairs. Yeah. So once again, nobody's going to come down here. But all this stuff is like, I mean, just, you can see it. I mean, this is not, I'm not sitting here pulling wool over your eyes. I'm like, look, it's gone. It's gone. There's all this. This is new. That's, you know, it's like, I'm just pointing out stuff that's like, I'm sure when you came down here, you looked at it, you're like, come on, guys. You looked at this and you're like, that doesn't seem right. You looked at this and you're like, God, it seems like they just kind of threw some brick and some mortar here, and right,
no bars,
no nothing, right? And it's like, and then you look at this wall, and it's like, yeah, this looks like a solid 4-inch wall. Why would they need a solid 4-inch wall here? And then they could just go to a simple, right? You see where it's like, this is not like, I'm not.
Something happened.
This is just an expansion. It was probably these guys came in and were like, this is fine. We've done this before, and like I said, it's working.
It worked.
It worked. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, the house is falling down. I'm just going to tell you. This is probably concerning because you do have a foundation element. This is bowing, right? Yeah. So that is a bit of a concern. Can I tell you when this bow happened? Could this have been right when they constructed it? I mean, of course. Yeah. Right. So we're dealing with that where it's like, I'm not going to be able to tell you, hey, this is working, because I'm just going to say this is undersized, this is not appropriate, this is not how we do things anymore. This is a 1970s home. Who knows when they did this? They probably did this in the 80s when a handyman came in, dug this stuff out so they can get that. You know, it's like the slab in itself is also like experiencing cracking along this edge here. So, you know, you're definitely having settlement happening in this corner here. So this is probably settling. Looking at this, you know, so we've got spider cracking here. So that's definitely loading, right? And you can see it's kind of going around it. So I'm assuming this is pushing down, and you've got some isolation happening here where this is pushing down, which makes sense. The reason why you probably have this crack here is because you have that big mass of a new footing that's right there. So that's probably, they were trying to find, right, you have this new load that's pushing on new soil, and you got this foundation that's already pushing on it. So you might get some redistribution of soil bearing, right, and that could move it around a bit. So that's probably the reason for that, which is not bad. Once again, this being an interior wall, you don't really have to worry about cracks so much in the interior wall when they're this small, because we don't have water intrusion. We're not seeing accelerated deterioration of the wall, so it's probably okay. That's what I'm saying. All this is functional right now. None of it meets current code. That's what I'm trying to say. So like, like for me right now, if I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to make an evaluation of the property, I wouldn't want this until I had a guy come down here and be like, okay, if I had to put in all new retaining walls or shotcrete, what would that cost me?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, as soon as I do a letter, it's public information. If anybody called me and be like, did you look at this property? I'd have to be like, yes, here's the letter.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then you do have to fix it all.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, you know, once again, is this functional? Yes. Is it performing? Yes. Is it out of code? Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what we're dealing with. So
Okay.
once again, that kind of puts it back onto you guys, whether you guys want to come down here and have me shed light on this, or whether you're like, you know what, it's functioning. He said it's functioning. It's not a structural concern at this time.
Yeah.
Unless any of these fail, right? If you get fluffing of that soilite, right? If this does this, right, where you come back and all of a sudden this goes like that, right? Then we got a huge problem, right? Because you're getting sloughing of the soil, and you see how fast.
Like if that just happened naturally, you're saying?
Yeah, if like you came down and all of a sudden
that half
this
that
whole
was just
thing
gone. Yeah.
is gone. It's like, oh, like you would have me coming out being like, get the fuck out of the house.
Okay.
Right, because it's like you're losing. This is a foundation element, and we're losing the soil that supports it. So if this starts undermining, right? So you can see this crack here, even though it's in soil, you're like, Ian, it's soil. What the heck are you talking about? This is a clay soil, so it has a crack here. So this is trying to distribute load. If this just falls away, then there's nothing under it.
Right.
Right. And then we do have a severe problem. Any inspector is going to come and be like, your foundation isn't supported. If I say that, I mean, you know that if I was like, your house no longer has a foundation, you'd be like, what?
Right.
Right. And that's what happens with these undermining. And when you do stuff like this, not giving a retaining wall, you can see that this was supposed to be like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've already lost this soil. So this went somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm seeing collection down here. This is not just all me. Right. So it is coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So in the future, can this be a problem? Heck yeah. This could turn into a very bad problem. If that breaks, could that be an issue? Oh yeah. You'd be, once again, please get out of the house. We need to stabilize the foundation. Your middle is sinking. If it's a bearing wall above, we haven't gone to the roof yet. So if it's a bearing wall above, right, it's supporting the roof too, right? Your whole house will just go. So that's a really bad thing.
Yeah.
So now whether you want to, how long are you holding on to the house is all stuff you're going to have to kind of get in your own head where it's like, okay, well, when did they do this? Let's say, how old's this unit?
I actually don't know the date on that one. I think I found one for the hot water heater, but that's not going to help us because this is probably original, right?
Yeah, well, these last longer than water heaters typically.
Yeah.
People will push them longer. So if we could get a date on this, you know, it just helps us figure out just when they
Model and serial, that might be able to give a clue, but
yeah, we're probably not going to find too much here. So,
no.
I mean, because my assumption is that when this was put in, that's when this happened.
Yeah.
So if it's, you know, if this was put in 1980, right, then this was probably put in 1980. So it's lasted 30 years. You know, is it? I don't know, right? It's you're asking, can this happen? I'm going, yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible for this to fail, right? Because it's bending. So, you know, I don't even know how this is staying like this.
Now it's nailed into
it's just nailed
a board.
and this is bending out too now, right? So you can see that sloping back this way. So this is not how they originally built this wall. This was plumb. So you have had movement. We've had soil sloughing. Sloughing is when it just like kind of falls away. Yeah, that's what we call sloughing. So looking at this, it's like, yeah, the upstairs looks great, but this is all stuff that can cause you severe headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows when that headache's going to show up.
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you right now. Right now, it's fine. There's not a structural concern. There's a slight structural concern with the ability for this to continue to resist soil, the ability for that just to stay as it is and not undermine your foundation, and for this floor system to not, like if you had a big party upstairs, for it not to like sag and damage the wood.
Oh, okay.
Right. I'm going to tell you that right now. That all those are possibilities. This is as soon as you open up that large space there, right, you can then have a huge party. Right in the middle, so you could get that up to above 40 psf, to the 50, to the 60. You know, an actual party that you have here, especially if this is a renter or a college house or something. You know, they pack in people. We've seen, you know, at those locations where it gets up to the 60 to the 80 psf. That's when like you could have splintering of wood joist. You could have excessive deflection. You could have bouncing of the floor. I mean, you know, you load up this is going to maybe damage this because you're going to load this a lot more. It's going to push down more, right? When it pushes down more, what does that do? It pushes out as well. You can push this out more. So these are all just things, we're talking about hypothetical situations that are design events.
Right.
Right. That's like, well, I mean, you are running a risk. I'm not going to lie. This is a risk. That's a risk.
Yep.
That's a risk. Right? The wood against the joist is a complete risk. That if you had a termite get in here or some type of animal, I mean, they could rip apart your joist.
Yeah.
Right? If you had a flood event and it got in under your crawl space, right? You could have that would soak up and soak right over in the wood. There's dirt in between the joists. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like I said, this is mostly stuff that you probably saw and you were like, man, I wish they wouldn't have done that.
Right.
So, you know, you're a smart guy. You know exactly what to look for and what not to look for. So I don't feel like I'm telling you anything new.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so really it's kind of just up to you on what you want to do here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm actually meeting the partner and a contractor out here at 3, so I'll, now that I have all this actual information, I'll
and be like,
know
hey,
what to do. I'll know what to tell them.
and once again, remember that I am a structural engineer, so whenever I see a structure in distress, I'm going to want to fix it. So,
Yeah.
like, the contractor is going to come down and he's like, we don't need to fix this. Right? And he's right. You don't.
Right.
You know, you really don't. That's probably the
But
least
I
of
mean,
my
for a
concern.
selling point, I would want to.
Yeah,
sure.
because it's just one of those things where it's like you go around and it's like when you see a cracked window or something that's out of level, that's the first thing they pick up on. It's
Yeah.
like the inspector is going to pick up on the easiest stuff that you leave for him to pick up on.
Right. And you just couldn't take the time to do
That he's
like-
going to look at this, he's going to look at that, he's going to look at that and be like, all this, and he's definitely going to look in there, and be like, none of this. Like, I'm just telling you what, I don't know if your inspector caught it. If you didn't, I would give him a call.
I actually didn't have an inspection.
Okay, 'cause
a
I was
proper
like-
home inspection.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
it's
the
like-
first.
Because I'm like, if he would have seen that and stuff and didn't write in a report, I'd be like, you would have cause to actually go after him and be like, why didn't you write this in your report? 'Cause
Sure.
this is like not to code. None of this stuff is. So, I mean, once again, the house is functioning well. It's performing well. It's been around for 40 years. It hasn't collapsed on us. So it's probably stable right now. We're looking for a design event to cause more problems, and it definitely could.
Okay.
Right? Now, I would say there's a flip of a coin whether you could have future issues with this house.
Got it.
Right? This isn't nearly as bad as the last house you let me look at. Right? The flooded basement, I mean, that was just like a demo, get the fuck rid of it.
Yeah.
This is like, okay, well, you've got just some haphazard stuff. The addition that they did over there looks really good. They did it right. So, like, that would be why I'm most surprised by this space is that that's actually done correctly.
Yeah.
And this wasn't. That's so weird to me because it's like, well, why would you do such a good job on that side and then
Right.
half-ass it on this side?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you there.
Maybe time for tough.
Yeah, I know.
They were doing this.
And that's
this
just
part.
it. It's like, you know, 1980s, 1970s, you know, engineers were pushed to go to 1 for capacity ratios, right? So it's like you would design everything to the maximum it could possibly go. We don't do that nowadays.
Got
Material is not the cost anymore, right? You get a labor guy out here and you're like, what's this mobilization, demobilization? It seems to be 20% of the freaking budget. And that's with material costs, right? That's just them moving people around and admin costs. So that's why it's like in the United States, it's more labor costs than it is material. In China, it's still material, right? So it just depends on where you go. So a lot of this stuff is going to be designed to 1. Like they maxed out everything. So if I don't get exactly what they did, I probably can't get this to work, right? So that's kind of what you're getting to. Also, back in 1980s, and the codes weren't as forceful as they are now, right? So people didn't have quite the same direction. They had code books, just not like the IRC we have today, where it's like this, very prescriptive. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's move up and we'll look
good.
at those beams. So this also the next thing to talk about with the beams is this where you want to put your beam, right? Lands on that foundation wall. Right, so you were talking about how much of this you wanted to open up? Like
Yeah,
that
potentially
part
take
here?
this wall out.
Like to how far?
I think if this is where we could
here?
support it, yeah, take this one out and take this one out.
Okay, so you know where we had that undermining problem, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think that is?
It's right underneath this area.
Yeah, so we're going to take out all of this load-bearing wall, and we're going to put an isolated, concentrated load right on the worst part of that foundation,
Got it.
if that's what you want to do. So let's pop into the roof real quick, and let's figure out this roof framing.
Okay. Yep. Right here.
So typically, this stuff is just done perfectly almost all the time. I never have a problem with them framing out roofs for some reason.
Okay.
Just to let you know, what I'm more going up here for is just to, because you said you wanted to take out that wall, this wall, this wall?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also in here, this separates these 2 rooms. We'd like to open this up completely.
Okay, well this is the addition, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get access to this area. If I can, I will let you know. It looks like it's running this way, so you shouldn't have a problem.
Okay.
But I'll let you know in a minute. A lot of this stuff, mind you, it's also dependent on you opening it up so that I can look at it when the frame is exposed. If like, so a lot of these letters, like right now, we'll have this discussion since you're getting a contractor in any way. It'd be like, look, don't take the letter from me now. Don't make me charge you right now because this is bigger than your normal project. Right? Get the guy to open everything up, right, with the walls you want to remove, so I can just come in here and look at them.
After they're already removed, you're saying?
After you've removed the siding.
Okay.
Let me see the bones of the building.
Got it.
So that I can be like, yep, everything's confirmed. If I can't, and that's only for this side of the roof. If I can't get into this side of the roof, I'm going to take a guess at the framing. I'm going to say, no, this should be okay to take off the siding. The other thing you guys are going to run into is this being the original exterior wall, that some of this is going to be shear wall. So if you run into strapping or hold downs or anchor bolts, it's going to be like, no, you can't remove that. That's lateral stability of the structure.
Got it.
And we don't know if that addition back there has been designed for it. I assume it hasn't. Right? So this is your lateral wall. But it's like, that's a lot of wall right there. So if you're not touching that, that's probably going to be okay. It just depends on
That side one?
So, this continuation, right? You're cutting it here. So the remaining of this wall is all still here. So that's
We want to open it back this way.
So even this is gone.
Yes.
So you're removing everything.
Yeah.
So now that makes that foundation even worse, right? So if we're removing this, so I'm telling you right now, you're going to run into a shear wall, and I'm just going to say no at a certain location because the shear wall isn't gravity, right? A shear is going to be this, the lateral stability of your house. When the wind comes and pushes on it, how does your house not just fold over like a house of cards, right?
Right.
That's what shear walls do. So it's
Okay.
not a vertical thing; it's a lateral thing, right? So you run into in houses, these smaller houses, we always design the exterior walls to be the shear walls or the lateral stability, right? So because of that, this was the original exterior
It
wall.
was an exterior wall, then they added onto it. Okay.
So this is your shear wall. You're probably not going to be able to open up as much as you want to because
Okay.
you're going to run into stability issues.
Got it.
Unless they were like, because when they leave them like this, and this seems solid, like we go to this stuff. Well, that's weird. That seems solid too. Hear the difference?
Yeah.
So it's like this isn't as solid. So I'm assuming that this was not designed as an exterior shear wall, especially with all these perforations in it with the windows.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming they were like, we're not adding much load. This is our shear wall. So this could become a problem for you.
Yeah.
The fact that it's plumbing tells me that you get rid of this, but this one, because it's this nice thing here, I don't know. You're just gonna have to look at that because that could.
You won't know until you open up the wall?
And I see strapping.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So in my
Okay.
letter, if I were to write a letter for this, I'd be like, if you run into strapping or anything during demolition of facades, work shall be stopped, engineering shall be contacted.
Got it.
Right? Because it's like, I don't know if this is a shear wall. It sounds like it. It's solid.
Okay.
Right? So
But
there's
you just
probably
don't
like,
know.
you got this, right, that's on top of it that's covering, and you probably have sheathing on the other side
Yeah.
or plaster or something.
I
Like
think
you come
so.
into these walls in here, and we know this isn't going to be a shear wall because I can just do, right, it sounds like too hollow, like this is not sheathing, this is just they put up this board.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Please be trusses. Well, so definitely 2 renovations or 2 additions. I would say it went 1. This is original. 2, 3.
Yep. Okay.
Because this is all prefabricated trusses. I don't want to forget that. That'd be something I would forget. So at this location, these are all prefabricated trusses, and they're all going this way. And they span exterior wall to, I want to say, because where was that opening right there? The center thing was justified this way. So I want to say it just goes exterior to exterior. I'm sure this is about 30 feet. That would need to be verified though, because it's tough for me. When I'm up there, they definitely went to, yeah, so these go exterior to exterior. So this is a non-bearing wall. Here's the unfortunate part, is this house is framed and goes like this. That's bearing, this is bearing, and that's bearing.
So this one is?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we knew that because we wanted to knock this out, and I think we had talked about putting a wood wrapped header here.
So how much of this do you want to take out?
I mean, our plan is to take out this non-load bearing wall, this load bearing wall, create a master bedroom right here.
Just how much of this wall do you want to take out?
I think the whole wall.
So you're probably not going to be able to do that with wood.
Okay.
Because that's well over
A steel
15 feet. Yeah,
beam
so
you
you
would
probably
need?
go into steel beam.
Okay.
A light steel beam like a W8, but the problem with that is what does that do now to the foundation below, right? This is the foundation that has that wood retaining wall. So right when we do this and we open all this up, right, we're putting post loads down here and here, right, coming down.
Yep.
That's going to put more load on isolated areas of that foundation. We'll
Okay.
probably have to retrofit the foundation to support that because they didn't take off the asphalt tiles above, so they left all the load of the existing roof.
They just put on top?
They just put on top, and then you got the prefabricated trusses, so it's actually a bit heavier here. Good thing these are spanning this way. Once again, that's on the other foundation, so that's not going to be a problem. So once again, this wall is going to be removed. I would reconsider this one. I would say if you can do a 48-inch or a 60-inch with a window, it's a much better idea.
Starting where? So starting at the here to here or something?
However you want to put it. I'm just
Got
saying
it.
like going and being like, okay, well, we're going to do this big of an opening right here or whatever, right? We're just putting a lot of concentrated load on the foundation on a wall that is being held up right now by plywood.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm trying to say. So like any
Yeah.
change where we're isolating this is going to be more of a worry because this is load bearing.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is load bearing because it brings down all the kickers down. So this is also a load bearing wall.
Yep.
So if you want to do this, it'd be the same as that.
Actually, for this one, we're planning on just putting a door straight to the bathroom. That's the only change here.
Okay, so that'll just be your typical header, but you do need a header here too.
To put a door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it is load bearing.
Okay.
So you're gonna have your standard header there.
Header here too. Okay.
Okay, so then we come back to here. This is where it might get a little confusing for me.
Okay.
So I was able to access, this is a frame, and it goes from here, and I don't think it went all the way to here. And I couldn't gain access to that, to this room. This might have been another addition,
Oh.
because let's look outside real quick.
Thanks.
Okay, no, so that is the frame thing. So that is where your trusses change over. Okay, so this one now goes exterior wall to exterior wall. That loads these two exteriors. So some good news for you is that this wall, this middle wall here, is rather lightly loaded,
Okay.
but it's definitely a shear wall.
So it is lateral support, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So taking out the whole thing is just not going to be able to be done. You're going to take off the facade and you're going to look for strapping, and it's like where that strapping ends is probably going to be 6 feet of wall that needs to remain.
So what could you do with it then?
So it's like just that if it's 6 feet of wall that needs to remain. This is where it's
Oh,
like
it's sick. Okay, I got it.
right. So it's like if this is where this, because you'll find either an X brace of strapping, you'll find some hold downs, you'll find something there, anchor bolts, something showing you, hey, this is a shear wall.
Okay.
So if that's 6 feet or whatever, that's going to be right here. Then you can open up the rest of it. Or if it's right here, then you can open up all this, and you just got to leave the shear wall.
Got it.
And the double top plate. So that's just
Okay.
kind of what I'm trying to say.
Got it.
But this is definitely shear wall because the wood planking goes above, and it is definitely the old exterior, and they framed it like that. So I'm assuming that this is
Yeah.
standard, and this is one of your shear walls.
Okay.
So it's doable. I don't know if you're gonna be able to achieve the complete open concept you're asking for just because of the number of additions that have happened to this place.
Right.
I would put money on this that this was never designed, that they just added it and they were like, this could take it because it's so long without any openings.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, I mean, if this was your shear wall, this could take almost your whole building. Like you just need the front and this one, and the rest is fine. So I'd be very much assuming that this is your shear wall, and you're gonna find something there.
So both this one and this one, or is it the same wall you're saying?
This is just all one wall.
This is okay. I thought for some reason offset a little bit. Okay.
It might.
No, I mean it looks. I think it's all the same. Especially from the other side, you can tell it's all.
Yeah, it kind of all. But once again, when you open it up, you might find that this is the shear wall.
Got it.
Or that's because if this is the shear wall, then you can remove all of that. If that's the shear wall, then you can remove all of this. And then we can put a post and beam it.
So are you? I mean, is it always this case where it's a 6-foot shear wall?
Typically.
Or could it be the entire length of it? It could be. We won't know until we open it.
Yes.
Okay.
But they typically don't need the full length.
Got it.
So it'll be like, looking at this, it probably goes to the heater, to the corner. That's probably a wet wall, so they normally don't do it by wet walls. But once again, this was a reno or an addition, so who knows?
Because it was exterior before. Okay.
The other thing, though, that we should definitely be looking at this flooring system, right?
I know, you can see the trim.
Slopes.
I know.
So once again, why would that be?
Right.
Why would it slope like this? Because it's probably a slab. Looking at this and the elevation of everything, right? With this being like this, it seems like the slab might just continue under, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
We could try and go figure that one out.
We were actually thinking about raising this to make it all level too.
I would raise it just because you're obviously getting settlement. Once again, we know that we have this foundation issue right here, right? That's the foundation problem we have over in that corner.
Yeah.
So you probably have had settlement happen here.
Yeah.
So that's what's caused this floor to slope.
Go down, okay.
Because they added load to this foundation, or they've come across this way or something. I don't know. That under area there I can't really access because it's full of dirt, so I can't tell you what's kind of going on here. But this is definitely unlevel.
Okay.
So I think that's all your questions, right?
I think so, yeah. We do, yeah.
Where'd I put my clipboard?
I know it's right around the corner here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just go see how unlevel your floor is. Should have brought my bigger level. It's not so bad.
Okay.
So who knows? It could have been just some bad finishing work.
I think so.
Yeah, because I mean that corner is, you go to here and it's not so bad. You go to there and it's just, so I don't know. I guess that's what I'm kind of telling you, that it sucks when houses do 3 separate additions. One's good, one's kind of like not so good, and then there's that stuff downstairs. So I'd say right now, this house, like if you were to get a letter from me, not of structural concern at this time. It has several areas of concern that could be future issues.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what my letter's saying, that I depict all this stuff.
Okay.
I pick your house apart. You also have some efflorescence in your attic space on the old one. So all those kickers coming down have rotted.
Oh, okay.
So that would be, it's an easy fix. You just sister on a new one, but let's just bring it up real quick. So you don't think I'm crazy. God, I hate this phone. So this one, you can see that split right there. That's a crack actually for the whole length of it. You can see all the white and everything around there. That's all, right? That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll need to replace that. That's pretty much all of them.
Is that a crack?
Yeah.
Right there?
No, that's water.
Oh, okay.
I think that's water, that's all water, that's all water.
Got it.
I think you had a water event.
Okay.
And on the original roof, because this roof, the prefab trusses look freaking incredible. Like this, I would say, this edition, if I were to guess, done in the past 12 years, 15 years.
Wow, okay.
Because the trusses are all pre-manufactured and they're beautiful.
Yeah, and when we were looking down below on this crawl space too, it looked really, really
Good.
nice.
Yeah, like this whole thing, like just when we stop on this, right, you don't feel much. I mean, the carpet's gonna help us, right?
Yeah.
You stomp on this side and it's like,
yeah.
the whole house
Very
shakes.
hollow.
Yeah, the whole house is shaking when we
Yeah.
step. So, I mean, once again, I'm not here to like trick you or anything, but you could, you can see I'm just going, well, this
For
doesn't
sure.
sound right, and
Right.
this sounds right.
Yep.
Right? So
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to say for a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
So, the unfortunate news, everything's bearing wall. Right? Except for this one.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we do plan on knocking this one out. So.
So this one, it shouldn't be a bearing wall. It should be very minimal.
Okay.
You've just got the 2x4 spanning this way. Your joists are spanning this way. So this should be very easy to remove.
Okay.
Right. This should not be non-bearing. That's going to be a pain. This is going to be a pain. This I would say this and that wall are the two walls that I would try and minimize the work you're doing if you're trying to stay under budget.
Okay.
This is where you're gonna. This one could easily cause us foundation issues. That's very expensive. We'd be then definitely doing the retrofitting on the foundation, definitely adding support elements, definitely putting in a steel beam, and therefore, right, you just see like that. That would be an expensive. This opening could be very expensive. I put a lot of dollar figures to it. This opening could be. I would keep this flexible because, like we were talking about with the shear wall, you got to be able to be flexible just to be like, okay, then move it this way or move it this way. Like have that in your back
depending
pocket.
On where
depending on where you're finding these things, you know.
Okay.
It might be both ends of the wall or the shear wall. You know, as soon as you find it, it's like you got to have that flexible because you're gonna ask me, you're like, can we remove this? I'm gonna be like, hell no, you can't.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be silly. Like these are very few and far in between. Don't touch that wall.
Okay.
You know, so I think you've got a good plan. I think it's totally achievable. It just might be a bit of work.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what we could do now because, like I said, the whole plan was to knock this one out and then frame in a new master bedroom here with a new master bath back there. But if we can't take this out,
this is non-load bearing, so this gets just
that can easily get moved out. So maybe we could just do it here to here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you can,
and then open up just this.
There you go. That's also one of the problems. And then you're putting it on an exterior wall,
Okay.
which then is going to be stronger. This is where the new foundation meets the old foundation, so we're relying on more than one. That would be a genius idea to do,
Okay,
right?
cool.
That's what I'm trying to say is like if you can be a bit flexible, maybe not go as grandioso.
Yeah.
With like, because I understand everybody would love this to be just completely open without a single wall in the interior except for the bathroom. I get that that's the look.
Yeah.
But these old houses weren't designed that way, so it's always kind of like meet that compromise. That would be awesome. Totally doable. And then you're back into just like, you know, 2x12s or whatever. You might not even go to engineered lumber if it's less than 10 feet.
Nice.
Right.
Okay.
So it's like that's where I'll be like, you know, you can go to engineered lumber can pretty much do like 14 to 15 feet ish, and then if you want more than that, like this whole wall, which would be like, you know, 16 to 18 feet.
Yeah.
That's when you go to that W.
Okay.
Okay.
Makes sense. Cool.
But everything is definitely doable, especially if you limit that. It would be super cheap to demo this wall, demo that. Put in that header, put in a small 2x8 header here for your door, and then this one would just be investigate, see what happens, you know, wherever that shear wall is, you figure that out, put the opening wherever you want on that side, that'd be totally fine, and then just talk to them about the foundation and what they would recommend and how much it's going to cost, because once again, with this foundation, we're not going to be underpinning or anything, we're just going to be removing and replacing stuff to be proper.
Got it.
So you might want to ask him, but I'm sure he's going to tell you the basement alone is going to be like 10 to 20 grand.
The contractor,
That would be my guess on his number values. And he's going to look and he'll be like, look, it's working. What are you guys talking about? Right? So that's just what the contractor's going to
Yeah. Okay.
But no, I think you got a great house. This one's way better than the other one.
Yeah, that's why I'm actually going with the flip route on this one. The other one we actually just resold. We cleaned out the water, cleaned up the garbage, got it looking okay, and then we just listed it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. I would be like, I would not.
Yeah, we're not going to touch that.
No. But this one, so I mean, once again, you could really, I mean, that's all I need to do to show you that this is not proper. So it's really going to be up to you. I will tell you an inspector will find, I would almost hire an inspector just to come through and get an idea of what his report would say.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Before we even start?
Yeah, because if he comes down and he starts talking about all the issues that we've talked about, because he'll probably get 75% of the things I'm talking about. That's typically what I see. There's always a 25% where I'm just like, did they look at this? They'll be like, no. I'll be like, okay, well, so there's there's that added little structural engineering bit. But what I might do for this one is bring them in, see what they're going to talk about, what he thinks is dangerous, right? It just gives you an idea.
Highlight those.
Yeah, just like how, what is he going to make you do? Like, what is the buyer going to make you do no matter what? Because every inspector finds the same shit. They all go to the same courses. They're all kind of the same. You know what I mean? They're trying to be a jack of all trades and they're not. So I always
no, that's a really good
just for me, because it's like if you're not going to do everything downstairs like I'm saying, then figure out what they're going to make you do down there to fix it.
Got it. That makes sense.
But I don't flip stuff, so.
Okay.
I wish I did.
Yeah, you might need to start.
Yeah, I might need to start.
I think you'd be pretty good at it.